Thanks for coming to day 2 of the Level Up Academy. I'm the room monitor for this room, and we're here to learn about how visual storytelling as a part of your marketing mix can powerfully move hearts, minds, and checkbooks with Dannielle Stewart. Before we get started, I do want to thank our sponsors, Alpine Bank, Arc Thrift Stores, B-Side Fund, Colorado Startup Loan Fund, Connect for Health Colorado, Michael's Energy, and REL and RMFI. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dannielle.
Hello and welcome. There's so many awesome people in the room. I didn't catch your name. Yeah.
I'm Maggie.
Hi, Maggie. Welcome. So what we're going to talk about today is attainable video storytelling, whether it's for your public policy efforts, whether it's for your nonprofit, you're thinking about what you can do for fundraising. What we're going to talk about today are a couple of things. I really want you to leave today feeling super excited and have lots of story ideas. And I really want to make sure you feel empowered that anyone can do this. This doesn't have to be fancy. What we have in our pockets right now are like insane pieces of technology that have incredible cameras. Until last year, I was still shooting on an iPhone 8, and I could still shoot in 4K. So my premise is that you don't have the time or money necessarily for big productions. You might be ready to move into that. But just with a little organizing and planning and strategy, you can really get so much more out of what you're already doing. So this is the de facto slide. You might have seen me other places, but I'm a producer here in the Denver Metro. I do storytelling for nonprofits and small businesses, but my niche is in vulnerable, HIPAA-protected populations. So trauma-informed storytelling in a safe and ethical way is kind of my niche, and my very favorite thing to talk about is housing. But, oh, there you go, Becky. I even got the logo up. You might have seen me teaching lots of places. My day job, I'm a marketing director, so I definitely come with the lens, with the angle that this is a tool for your marketing program. It's not everything. And we'll talk about some strategy options as we go. Quick poll in the room. One thing I've learned about teaching this for the last 3 years is that everybody comes in hoping for something different to come out of the class. So just a quick poll, people here interested in editing? A little bit? What are people hoping to get out of this class? Or just curious?
The art of storytelling. I think it's more intriguing to be in a conversation with someone when there's flow to it. And
sure.
I'm a visual learner. I remember those visual stories, so I want to have the skill to be able to
sure.
do that also.
Awesome. That was perfect.
I'm a process person. So like we use video and teach business operations skills all the time. But like a lot of people think process is boring. So if you are not the kind of person who inherently believes that, yes, I would like to know how to, I have no idea what to do then. So that process of how do you bring people in when they're like, yeah, I guess I kind of need that thing you do. You're like, no, everybody needs the thing that I do. How do I connect it?
And that's in our story bank. We're going to talk about what age groups most want to see hands-on tutorials. Who's interested in that? We're also going to talk about a story bank. So ways that you can leverage video to engage that potential person.
I think for the folks that either don't have an editor or don't want to edit, which is me, I just want to know more like tell us how to shoot it where we don't have to really worry about the editing. Like positioning the camera and say these things and
sure.
Just get it
so
where it's ready to go and I don't
want to. I brought a backup presentation from a different class just in case for that.
So we use videos in our nonprofit, but I'm interested always in how to make them more interesting, more engaging.
Sure. Sure. And of course, you had your hand up and now I asked you when you got a bagel. No. As we go, let me tell you what makes this class better. This very fast hour that we're in here together. What makes it good is you. So as we go, if you bring up examples, that sounds like a great idea, Dannielle, but it's not going to work for my population because it's not going to work for my target audience because everybody can learn from that. So what makes this more fun is just for everybody to contribute. And from this point on, I'm going to talk really fast. So this is really the core thesis of storytelling, and especially for visual storytelling. I always caution that, as I don't want it to be ableist. There are many ways to make human connection through visual, sensory, sound, audio that engage the limbic system in the brain. So this is the core part of the brain that's responsible for emotions and things like decision making. When you say I have a gut instinct, it's because that part of the brain doesn't have access to language. So there is a science, there is a process to your storytelling. You want to engage that part, right? Things like trust, loyalty, care. Those are things you want to hear from your customers. Those are things that you want to hear from your donors. So when we start with storytelling, this is why it's critical. You cannot engage that part of the brain if you just start what I call the annual report trap. If you start by throwing up stats, there's a place for it, but it's not at the top. So we're going to find ways to not only engage the limbic system, but you might have heard me say decision making. So something I will preach over. So one of the biggest mistakes I see nonprofits make, small businesses, social B Corps, public policy advocacy. Often I get sent a video and it's inevitably somebody's nephew, right? Like somebody's nephew is in film school or has a cool camera. And at the end of the video, I don't know what you do and I don't know what you want me to do. And that is a major lost opportunity, especially for a small business. You're running everything by yourself, or if you're in a nonprofit, you're wearing all the hats. If you don't tell me what to do, nothing happens at the end of that story, right? I just love this quote. Sprout Social, there's a bunch of links in my slides. They have so much free data. It's incredible. But I felt like this was such a good quote. Build brand awareness and put a stake in the ground with video, right? So this is not taking the place of doing the work of finding your brand identity or coming up with a marketing plan, but rather it's one way to enhance. And we're going to talk about some of the ways that it's really beneficial. You're here, so you already know that this is important, but I wanted to talk through, I always jokingly call this your board member or your mentor slide when people ask why you're allocating your limited time and resources to video storytelling. So then I give you a de facto slide so you can tell people why. Think about a video as a bus, right? It's not a light rail. It's nimble. We can change routes quickly. We can respond to changes in the market, in what consumers are looking for, concerns, especially when it comes to public policy and advocacy. You need to be really nimble. And what I want you to walk away with is that I can totally do this. I can shoot it in one take, and I can get this out quickly in a way that people want to see it. Additionally, AI. I talk about Canva, Alicia, and you probably use it now. But a couple of years ago, they poured a crazy amount of venture capital into their video editing, and especially for nonprofits, but small businesses too. It's incredibly affordable WYSIWYG software. So just real quick, here we go. We're talking about the quick and dirty benefits of video. There are so many asset platforms that make what used to be thousands of dollars in time and stock video and assets with an editor. It makes it a few dollars a month and accessible to anybody. You can get your personal story, your personal brand in front of people before they even, open the door. They click on your shopping cart before you even get in. And our phones are powerful. So I'm coming with the premise that you have nothing but the phone in your pocket, right? And that's really important. As we go, here's what I want you to take away. I'm going to give you some tools and structure so that when you do use your limited time and resources to go and take a video, shoot off your phone, that you're getting the most out of it. We talked about some of the traps that small businesses and nonprofits fall into. So let's talk about what has to happen on the front end, right? When I say get it down on paper, I'm even now, so I have a big shoot next week. I'm in the middle of a $2.3 million capital campaign at my foundation. So I have the numbers up on my board, literally exactly what I want, the kind of donor I want, the kind of money I want. So get it down on paper. if you're looking for a customer, is it SaaS? Are you looking for a recurring customer? Are you looking for a one-time? As much detail as you can get in front of you is just going to serve every choice you make along the way better. Is the goal to build community? If so, you're going to think about that. So get it down on paper. Are there people here who walked in with a video in mind? What do you want your video to do?
Well, mostly just tell my story, my why, and why I'm doing this. And I think I had a hard time because I'm moving from one industry to something totally different. So I think that imposter syndrome thing is right there in the middle one, so I just want to make sure that I'm speaking about now.
Yes.
To I tend to default to work in prison.
No, so first of all, I would say that is a very important detail. That's an incredibly compelling story. Yes. How did you go from prisons to food services? That's a crazy good hook. I'd watch that video, right? That's an interesting story. What I would tell you is, as an editor, at the end, there's a barcode. Everybody can get 30 minutes if you came to my class with me to ideate one-on-one. But I would argue that's an incredibly compelling story. What you want to focus on, we're going to talk about this, what happened before, what happened during, that special detail, and what the future looks like. So we have a checklist in here to get you through that narrative. Sometimes people get a little hung up on, I have a great story, but I don't have a frame. I don't know how to put it together in a certain order. What's the video you're thinking about?
We digital marketing. I just got a new tool called Synthesia. So people that are afraid of the camera, this is an avatar that you can manipulate. So for like giving a presentation, it's kind of a fancy way of doing a PowerPoint. It's called Synthesia. So I just wanted to share that because it's an amazing tool, and there's like 150 avatars, and it's awesome. It's MP4, so you can post it anywhere. Some places you have to have a YouTube link, so you just load it up to your YouTube channel. And you want that anyway, right? You want to host as many videos as you can on YouTube and link back to your website. That's an SEO trick. He's the expert, not me. But what he's talking about is what iPhone 15s are doing too, the animated memojis. Has anybody seen these? So you look in the camera and the memoji that Apple has created for you, as you move and talk and smile, it captures that in real time and you can send those animations from your phone. It's crazy. Anybody else? Yeah.
I want my stories to be able to convert like from my Instagram to my clients, because I just tell stories and I'm not seeing them. They're not coming to the site. So that's what I'm trying to get the traffic from Instagram page to my Instagram.
So that's exactly what we're talking about, right? A great story is a great story, but if you don't have a call to action or it's not working, then we need to get creative. And I would love to talk more about that with you. What the folks that came in later missed is the thing that makes this really fun and great is participation. Just tell me what you're thinking about. At the end of the video, you'll hear me say this over and over and over. You need your audience member to know what you were trying to communicate. So was your message clear? And if your message was, we're super fun and this is a fun video, that's valid. What do you want me to do at the end? Right? So adding that call to action at the end of an amazing balloon sculpture, we've got kids going, what is that call to action? Maybe it's a special offer because you're my Instagram follower. You get XYZ. And it might be that you mark up your regular service 20% and offer a 20% discount. I don't know.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask if we're going to get a copy of the presentation.
For sure. I'm not organized enough that it went up ahead of time.
But
Not.
and give us the sites. They
Yep.
will be on the app.
My B.
You're fine.
You missed the first slide. I do a lot of different things. All right, this is the part where we're going to really get out our pens. And let me tell you why this is important. I have been at every of the brand and the marketing sessions of this amazing conference. And it's amazing how these sentiments are echoed throughout branding, throughout marketing. And what is so often forgotten in a video Well, I need to do, how many times have you heard this? I need to do a video because I think I need to do a video. Right? And it's like the basics that you would do for any other marketing execution get forgotten, right? There are a lot of subtleties in video, and we're going to talk about a few of those. I think it's, yeah, this slide. So age, where do they consume media now, right? Gen Z, their entire lives are spent online, and it's something absolutely insane. I heard yesterday, Bob Goff, who I don't know how that wasn't totally overfull. He's like a marketing guru of the world, was there, talked about how publicly Gen Z, there are 75 million data points about that human being by the time they're 18 that are already captured, which is kind of scary. But think about how, and I have a cheat sheet link in here for you. How do different targeted audiences consume media? Because if you're trying to talk to a 50-year-old who wants and needs your services, and you're on Instagram, they're not going to hear your message likely. If you're talking to, my son is 21. If I put a message on Facebook, it makes me look decrepit, and he would be annoyed and tell me that he had no interest in that, right? If you're a Gen Xer like me, Instagram's a good place. So this is a link to Sprout Social. They update this regularly. It's like they put the whole cheat sheet online. Use every tool they have. I have Sprout Social taste with a Hootsuite budget, but I use all the free tools that they have available to me. This is going to lead you to from whom they'd most like to hear, right? So if I have this amazing expert coach, somebody who is 45 to 50, is that who my 21-year-old wants to hear from? Probably not. It might be that you have a great story and you're not the right storyteller. That might be the case. So think about from whom they'd like to hear. What is the biggest problem you can solve for them, right? If it's that no one is finding the right product or service line item, then it's sequencing video to landing page to conversion. So thinking about what problem you're solving for them and how they're using your media. And this is the biggest one, especially for the nonprofits in the room. Is this the group most likely to affect change? So if you have a goal of $100,000 at your corks and cause, your brews and donations or whatever, if your goal is to raise $100,000 and you invite 70% of people who are from your YP group, are you going to hit that goal? Probably not, right? Who is the person most likely to affect change for the goal that you've written down, right? So now we have a goal. We're starting to think about our target audience profile. A lot of times, I'll tell you this is true in social B Corp also. Everybody wants to put the founder in front of the camera. My daily life, I work for the Angel Capital Association. I live and breathe founders and entrepreneurs. They want to stick the founder in front of the camera. That may not be the right person for the goal that you have in that moment, right? So all those things, it's just funny when we think about video, often these kind of basic things get overlooked. It's sort of like video, and you should be applying the same strategy that you have to other marketing efforts. I was so pleased that I went to a session yesterday and somebody said this almost verbatim. What doesn't work? Trying to talk to everyone. It just doesn't work. I did a piece for a nonprofit. The corporate partner was T-Mobile. We sat down and I said, who do you need to talk to? And she said, everyone. I said, well, what do we need to tell them? And she said, everything. This is definitely founder syndrome, right? Right? What I want you to feel like is that once you get in the habit of video storytelling, you want to make those nimble and niche. You want to make it very personal. That works especially for millennials. They're going to tune out media that in a way doesn't have any personalization. They're not going to watch your stuff. Gen Z as well. Mismatching your audience existing social media usage and habits. Same thing. They're not going to hear your message if they're not there. So, if I were on Snapchat and I wanted my grandma to get my message, like, doesn't make sense, right? But those little things, as you map this out, will generate better return on your time. Leading a message with stats, people will just brain melt and move through it, right? Our attention span is so quick. If you're thinking about a kind of an average time, right? I talk about it being above the fold, which is an old newspaper term, right? You want to put your most critical information at the very top, assuming that you're not going to get more than 20 seconds of attention out of your viewer. So are your most critical things at the top? If you're spending 5 to 7 seconds on a cool intro, not useful for you. You may lose your viewer in that time. It is pretty incredible to think about how quickly every second in video storytelling takes. And then ignoring the issues of access and equity, right? A lot of the work I do is with refugee and immigrant populations. Are you accounting for language equity, visual, ability equity? Are you captioning your videos? Are they in the languages and where people can access them? I thought this just blew my mind. It almost made my hair fall out. This is 1 year after I went through advertising school. And they talk about this being this huge daring ad. It was in Spanish. That was it. This is some time ago, but it's amazing how I feel like we haven't made that much progress in 20 years. So just think about that. That headline just blew my mind. I had to share it. So we talked about T-Mobile. When I asked about the audience, she said, everyone. I said, what do you want to talk about? She said, everything. And I said, well, who is the most likely to affect change? And she was thinking about potential donors, right? The only reason this program was possible, when we pulled it back, it was mid-level regional sales managers who had a finite amount of money a year to make this program even happen, because they had a crazy deal. It was like 6 months of unlimited text services. If we had just said everyone and everything, we may not have had success. And here's what ended up happening. We got a note back once we sent the video in to the mid-level regional sales managers at T-Mobile. It's not too often we get to say we are part of something big here, right? You don't hear that from sales managers. I don't get to see how my work actually plays out. And they were funded for more time with their program. If we have time, we'll go back and watch that video. But we were able to give them insight into, it's not just a box you're checking for your annual budget. It's not just what you're doing this quarter, right? These are real people in need of the service that you're providing, and it means something. And then we had a completely different kind of loyalty and engagement from those sales managers, right? And it still gives me goosebumps. I'm so proud of the project. So let's get brainstorming. You've got your pens out. We talked about what your target audience member, right? What is the goal? I need to get more people into my shop. We talked about your target audience member. They're 35 to 45, let's say, women. And a large majority of them are in, let's say, social services, right? We're building a map of who that person looks like. How do they access media? Well, 35 to 45, they're probably on Instagram. Maybe they have legacy Facebook because their mom has it, right? Where am I going to be able to find them? Do I need to make this a programmatic advertising buy? Is there something bigger here? So now we're thinking about how we tell that story, right? The person that, people need to see themselves in stories. There's often times where I'll get a project and say, I'm not the right storyteller. Let me find the right person. But for your small business, for your nonprofit, it probably lives right inside your office. So what is the goal? If it's money, like I said, I'm going to say this over and over and over, put it on the board. You'll hear me say that, whether my cats hear it, because I work totally remotely. but put it on the board. Is it lead capture? Is it community building? Again, this is overcoming that idea of a video is just something you have to do, or I just need to I guess everybody says I need to do video. So really distilling down these details will help you not only brainstorm better, but you'll get better outcomes. Is it lead capture? Is it audience building? For you, I might think community building, right? You're working on personal branding. You're probably trying to build an audience that is connected to your personal brand, right? And for yours, it might be a demo, right? It might be technical.
Now you're getting the stats and numbers.
No, it's a story. It's you looking at the camera, seeing it in real time. That works really well with Gen Z. That's what they want. Gen Z wants to see things in action. If I had a nickel for every time my kid, I said, do you want me to help you with that? And he goes, I'm going to YouTube it, right? Those work well for your brand. Of course.
So I'm in the process of building a website. I'm opening a store, so I have a lot of changes coming with my business. And one thing I think people forget about is what connects with customers. So for me, it's lifestyle. So I sell herbal teas, tinctures, things like that. So I can look at age, I can look at income, but the main thing across the board, whether you got a GED or the doctorate, is that people care about their health. So I'm not where all the other herbalists and other people are at. I'm looking at lifestyle. So people who do bike riding, people who shop at certain stores and certain things like that. So I'm learning to kind of be with certain stores, follow their page, look at what they're doing, where their customers are. And that's really helped with traffic and everything else. So sometimes it's good to look at age and how much money they make, but look at their lifestyle. What are their values? What's important to them? Because that's helped me out a lot.
And I super appreciate that. Millennials in particular, that's what they want to see is lifestyle, whether it's a widget, whether it's tea, whether it's a service, they want to see lifestyle. And so when I say that, I'm trying to help you think about where your video goes, but understanding the broader demographic is critical for sure. Thank you for adding that. That added a lot. So what we've done so far, we looked at our goal. The room got really quiet and it makes me anxious. We identified our goal for a single video, right? We're going to keep it focused. Talking to everyone about everything is ineffective and it doesn't work. We've looked at who has the greatest ability to affect change for us, given our goal, right? We thought about where they consume media and what types of storytellers they're drawn to. And to her point, this is the best way to do it. Are your competitors, are the people who are watching like things, are they TikTok style with those, 5 to 10 second cuts as they're trying to tell a single story? Do they like jumping? Do they like more narrative? What is it you're seeing in the marketplace? And it's free, right? Free market research. And then you can count your doom scrolling on Instagram as research.
One of the things that's really helped me with research is recognizing where I am and where I am not my own demographic. Because that's a huge trap I have fallen into. Like, oh yeah, but I would never buy stuff like that. Great. I'm not my own demographic a lot of the time. And I don't have an online presence to speak of. I work really hard. I'm on LinkedIn and that's about it. So I'm not my own demographic because my demographic does find information on Instagram.
Sure.
I sure don't.
And you have a professional service. LinkedIn seems like a seamless fit for you. And figuring out ways to use video, to use the newsletter functions. There's lots of marketing to be done just on LinkedIn, right? And that makes sense. That's a total fit. And then we brainstormed what kind of video we want to make. And I am not discounting humor. I definitely work a lot in very serious social justice issues. So sometimes I pull myself out and go, it can also be super fun. And when you're looking at a tool like Canva or something, a getting started type tool, maybe I cannot edit on my phone for nothing. I have desktop tools that I use, and we can talk about some of those platforms. But WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get software is meant for everybody to be able to access and use. And everybody and their sister has a YouTube video tutorial showing you how to do it. So feel empowered, right? the legwork that we're talking about you might say, well, I thought this was a video storytelling class. I'm telling you that doing the work ahead of time will make your videos perform better, right? I've worked in nonprofit the last 8 years. Everything from answering the phones to program, fundraising, marketing, membership, philanthropy, outreach. I know how limited your time and resources are. Same thing in a small business. There are lots of solopreneurs that are doing incredible things that I could see in the rosters. What organization are you with?
Blue Star Recyclers.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I've been to an event, maybe.
I'm very new in this role.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's a lot of people I haven't met yet.
What's your role?
So, business development manager.
Oh, yeah. So,
before that, I was doing operations at the Boulder location.
oh, wow. Yeah, I can't operate. I need the two of you. The two of you could be a powerhouse. All right. So now what? We've talked about the planning, what we want to do. And I will say, especially for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, please don't forget HR. Please don't forget volunteer recruitment. These are powerful tools. I just taught a couple of weeks ago at Dovia. Does anybody remember? So volunteers need video to take people behind the scenes. And that works in the same way when you're looking for recruiting folks. How can you make it enticing? People want to come work with and for you. This is my big disclaimer. I wish I could tell you I were sponsored and I had like stickers. Like, I'm just talking about the things that work for me. And I do not think you need stuff or gear in order to make a good video, right? It does not replace the work of Storycraft. I always try to shop for used first. I'm not sponsored. If you can invest in just one thing, we're gonna talk about if I can afford one thing, two things, three things. And if so, I'm gonna take you through that actually. One thing who was asking me about it? So when you're setting the scene, whether it's for an interview, if you're talking about a person, what I'll tell you is that every time natural light is better than anything else. And the second best thing is probably your $15 light from that who shall not be named, right?
Oh.
But I don't know if anybody's looked up. Everybody bought a home office setup during COVID, and the people who have to go back are trying to get rid of it. So you can probably find a lot of what you need. I did that this week. For my shoot next week, I needed a special kind of mic. I'm looking for used equipment. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to shoot somewhere, even if it's your own front office, let's say brick and mortar, walk the space in mind, thinking about videoing. The reason I use this picture, this is at Museo de las Americas on Santa Fe in the Art District. We went there, we scouted twice. And if you take a deep breath, that floor creaks. The building is like 150 years old. And that was something that, even though we had done one single walkthrough, I wasn't thinking about video production. When I went back, I realized how challenging the sound was going to be, and I tweaked what I was doing. This is the same with, inevitably, I joke that I'm not an ambulance chaser. Ambulances chase me. So you're going to always be thinking about, is this side of the building, is this side of the sidewalk closer to where traffic goes? So walk the space, look for hum. These are just simple things that cost no money that can really enhance the quality of your video. And we're talking about just from your phone, right? Those wall-mounted water stations are big, egregious contributors of noise population. And inevitably, I'm in a government building and no one has access to the HVAC. But think about all those little things will just improve the quality of your video. Yeah, so just clear out extra sound, walk the space. So scouting, can you be there at the location or the approximate time? Right? This is different than doing like an animated explainer. There are different kinds of videos that we could be doing. Thanks for coming. Check for noise and traffic. Get out from behind the desk. How many people just do the sitting at the desk? or sitting staring at the camera? Can you still stand and look at the camera and be somewhere interesting? Make it so if does anybody in here have a video in mind where they're going to need to interview? So that's a question I get a lot, right? So the entire goal is to make your interviewee feel comfortable, especially if you're working with someone giving a testimonial or something personal, right? Want to make them feel comfortable, find a space that works for them. If you're just some tips and tricks, kids are great. Give them something to play with. So give the kids something to play with, then they forget the camera's there and they just are kids, right? Same with animals. I'm not comparing children to puppies, but I'm just saying. I don't know. My kid likes treats. Did you have a question?
Oh, I just said no, it's all the puppies.
Oh. I've only ever done one big shoot with animals. They're wolf dog hybrids. And when I got on set that day and we were ready to shoot, my volunteers got too scared and bailed. So I had to go in the enclosures because the whole video was about the encounter experience. That's what they were trying to sell. So then I just went in and hugged some wolves.
Next time I'll help.
It was awesome, actually. It's called Mattersville. You should look them up. So here's the core format. People were asking about, how do I get started with the structure, right? This is true with using your product or service. This is true with your program, your outreach. If you need a place to start with a narrative story, what was my life like before the product or service or offering or program? What was my life like during the product or service or offering or program? I have it's so cheesy, you guys, but I have a like interviewing 101 and I'll link the video up there. And it's my kid. He's an improv actor. So you gotta get some good out of that, right? After all those improv shows he owed me. So during the program, the golden moment is what we're always looking for. The way you can think about a golden moment is it's not the first or second question, right? The golden moment almost always comes from, I can time it. It's almost always between the like 70 to 75% of the way through your interview. If you have an allotted hour, almost always you can clock it. It's where your interviewee has gotten comfortable enough. They've sort of thought, a lot of times people, when you're asking questions, they're kind of thinking through their answers as they're talking, right? And so by this point, they've gotten comfortable. And what I love, what you should look for is the lean in moment. Well, you know what's really great about this, right? So they come in with an expectation. They're going to talk about the thing, the service. But that golden moment is that moment where you get beyond the surface level questions and we find anecdotes, right? A golden moment is often an anecdote that demonstrates all the other work you've been trying to do, the story you've been trying to tell. So look for those golden moments. Well, you know what I really loved? Those are just the best moments. After the program, product, service, my life is like. So you want to bring them through to the future. So we have this story, we're looking at our narrative, we're looking into the future. Did the product service change your life in some way? Is it that, man, I love this tea so much and now I'm going to give it to everybody this holiday season? So bringing people in through that narrative, even if it's a quick video. Looking for ways to structure your story or how you'll quickly engage the audience member and you'll get better return out of the time and effort. You don't want your interviewee to shine that way. Seriously, I carry like 6 of these. When I'm on set, I have one in every pocket. I know it's weird and it's awkward. I'm like, so can you use this blotting tissue? But it will, people get nervous. They get a little glistening. Just carry these around. It will really improve. That's just a little pro tip from me to you. Well, you know what I have in my back pocket right now? Shaky cams are for scary movies, not your story. Cost $20. We don't need that, right? This is a lightweight tripod from that who shall not be named. And it's a perfectly great tripod. This is the kit I carry around. Then in the top, where I can mount the cell phone holder, it costs $7. Oh my goodness. Especially if you have a professional product or service, just making the camera steady, it makes a huge difference. If you don't have it, this is the kind of stuff I do all the time, right? I'm always looking, then at least find something to rest your camera on, find a way to steady that picture. So this is some of the gear I carry. Again, not sponsored. I don't think you need it to make a compelling story. But if beyond the $25 for the cell phone tripod setup, if you had something else to invest your time or money in, improved sound quality is the way to go. This guy in the middle, I think, is like $40. Again, look for used. Somebody probably had that set up in their home office. It makes such an incredible difference to have good quality sound. And it doesn't take something super expensive to do it. I have these. I've started to see these be more mainstream, these Rode GoPro 2s. You'll see them in TikTok videos. They're on Instagram all over the place, but they're kind of bulky and they clip on, but they make it really easy. If you have an open house, you want to get 5 testimonials, you really just unclip and clip on. They're a really easy way to knock out a bunch of testimonials or standing interviews. And the sound is incredible. Then I also carry around this. It works with iPhones and Androids. This is a Rode what is it called? A Rode. You'll hear me say that a lot. It's a brand name, RODE, is kind of the industry standard. These are linked in the slides. This is called, very unfortunately, a dead cat. Not making that up. It's what it's called, but that helps with wind or ambient noise, especially if you're in an outdoor fair. These are pretty inexpensive items, right? So I was shooting in Vegas last year and I just had my phone and I have a gimbal, which is a stabilizer. It's a robotic arm that you carry around for my cell phone. And I walk past these Travel Channel guys going the other direction. They have these huge rigs, right? And I'm like, oh, look at my little, ooh, it's so cute. No, but they walk by and they have these same lights on. So Lume Cube is a pretty awesome way if you need light.
So I bought one of those because I was doing some in-home videos just to myself and wear glasses. And I had a lot of glare. It's really difficult. Do you have any recommendations?
Make your camera higher. So drop the lights behind your subject, right? Then we're going to refill with a single front-facing light. And then ideally you have a hair light. So a lot of interviews you see, it seems counterintuitive. You're going to drop out all the light in the room. And if you make that a higher point, so for example, this, we're going to talk about it in the next slide, hooks onto a cold shoe, which is a universal type of attachment for lights, for microphones. You just want to get it higher. It works to fill the space. Turn it to the side of your subject so that we're still filling the light, but it's not directed. Consider a diffuser. This light comes with a diffuser. Is it this one you have?
No, it was the round one.
Oh, I see. A lot of times what we do is we take a piece of foam core from the Dollar Tree and we'll put it in front of the light. So the light is bouncing to our subject off the whiteboard and not directly on the person. You can probably get a lot of what you're looking for with a $1 piece of foam core. So we're bouncing the light.
And the big issues, we're talking about the tripods, because I do and want to do most of my sort of video in my kitchen.
Uh-huh.
Right there. And also I'm a brown person, so I don't want to look like either I'm dead or that I'm on fire. So I've been trying to figure that out. All I have were 2 ring lights. So it's just, and then of course apartment light, which is crap.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot against it.
You know, one thing you could do, and you'll see these on photo shoots all the time, the metal canister, right? It's sort of a cone and it has a clip, and then you just put a regular light bulb into the clip. Different skin tones are absolutely a thing. What I would encourage you to do is look for something like this, because it has temperature control.
What is that called?
It's linked in here.
Oh, okay.
I think it's whatever that name is. Okay. But if you can control the temperature, you're going to have a lot easier time.
Yeah.
So looking for diffusers. If you're going to buy a ring light, same thing, make sure it's color adjustable, temperature adjustable. When you're getting ready for maybe something a little bigger, this still fits on my $20 tripod from that who shall not be named. But now I have 3 mounts. I can put a light, I can put a microphone up there. And even with the phone that's in my pocket, I've spent about $40 right at this point. But now I have better sound. I have good lighting. I have a steady shot, and already you're leagues above where a lot of people are when they get started. Trying to stay out of your way. I've seen these, so. All right, here are the 2 slides that are coming up. These are something you should learn, and if you need help finding it, let's chat after the class. This is how you can turn your regular cell phone, doesn't even have to be expensive, into 4K.
And this is for iPhones.
I have 2 slides. Yep.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yep, there are 2 slides. So know this, if you're going to go and shoot in 4K and start to take photos, just know they're big memory hogs when you're shooting in 4K. So clean out what you can that day, or throw what you can up on the cloud, because you can always put it back on your phone. But anything you can do to free up space on that day, because the 4K video is going to make such a difference. And every phone does it. It's really no longer a thing of like, you have to have the biggest and the best. Even the older iPhones or Androids are great. Androids are way better at shooting at night in dark rooms. So if there are 3 of you and somebody has an Android, you're shooting at night, you want to get an event, something like that, find the person with an Android. Honestly, their cameras are better at night and low light. So I'll just talk through the next slide, and then I think we're almost at time for questions. If you're interviewing people, here's what I like to use as a rule. 15-minute warm-up, 30 minutes chat, 15 minutes in case you go over. The shorter you keep your interviews, the less editing Alicia will have to do, right? The shorter you keep your videos, you've got a steady shot with good sound. She can throw a clip into Canva, put it up on Creative Planner, and then she's good to go. She doesn't have to really edit anything at all, right? I mostly was just making sure you were paying attention. So that's me. Coming. Anybody can schedule as long as my schedule allows. Like, I just do this because I love it. I took vacation hours to come here today. I just do this because I love it. So that links to my LinkedIn. I'll send you my Calendly. And usually in 30 minutes, we can figure out what you need. If you are feeling like, oh, I got ideas, but I don't know how to pull it off, feel free to take advantage of that. We'll just get on a phone, we'll chat through what your options are, and 30 minutes is more than enough. After doing hundreds of these, we can just knock that. We'll look at your resources and what you have. Are there any questions I didn't cover today? I really appreciate everybody being here.
What do you feel about using GoPro?
GoPro is great. What is GoPro good for? Immersive experiences, right? It's good for kiddos you can't film. It's good for getting people behind the scenes in places. It's amazing. I love using them. That's a good way to bring people into your story. You know, one of my favorites is an animal sanctuary in Florida, and they use this a lot, right? Even volunteers don't necessarily get to go into enclosures or some of the coolest places. So take them with you. Take that GoPro, try to figure out where you can take that person they wouldn't normally get to go.
It's its own platform too, so it runs a little bit SEO.
Yes, and it's good for time lapse, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're a DIYer, if you're a balloon builder, If you've got things where you need to show progress as you go, you know, a GoPro's a good way to do it. I don't know if anybody follows Jules. He's a Denver artist. He does this so well, where he shows the time lapse of, he does big murals. So show the time lapse of that. Even on your phone, most basic editors have a speed function. That's where you're going to be able to recreate that. If you don't have a GoPro, you're going to speed up that clip. You know, I'm never above asking people to come in and lend a hand. And I say this to beginning video takers too. Ask your buddy to come, and all they have to do is hit record and end record. If it's your first time interviewing, get somebody to literally just push the button and end the button. But yeah, a time lapse could be really good for that. Are there any other questions?
I just want you to come to my house.
I want to see this kitchen. Hey,
It is so unremarkable.